This is a breadboard. It's used for rapid prototyping, and it allows us to add to a circuit and remove from a circuit very conveniently with minimal work and effort. You'll notice all the holes on it. If we look at the columns first, positive and negative, this is where we plug our power in. When we plug something into this left side, the circuit is connected all the way down, but not connected to the blue. The blue is its own circuit all the way down. So these two are separate circuits connected by column. What that means is if we plug something into this positive here that has, let's say, 5 volts, then this entire column is going to have those same 5 volts. And if we connect maybe the ground here, which is 0 volts, then all of this will be grounded all the way down. These two are not connected. The center rows are the opposite. They're connected by row. So if we zoom in and see A1 here, A1 is connected to E1. A1 is not connected to A2. So as we use these rows, they are all connected underneath, but they're separate to each other. When we jump across this center area here, there's also a separate circuit. So E1 is not connected to F1, but E1 is connected to A1. And this is true all the way down. Each row is separate. If we plug 5 volts in here on A1, then B1, C1, D1, and E1 will all access that same 5 volts. It will be one circuit, but A2 will not be able to connect to the 5 volts, and F1 will not be able to connect to the 5 volts. And we can test this. On the right side here, we have another power rail. These columns are just like the first one, and they are separate to the first. So we have 2 sets of power here. You can imagine maybe you want 3 volts here and 5 volts here, or 12 volts here and 5 volts here. And you can use them separately by connecting your components to them. So the very simple thing is each row in these lettered areas are separate, with this bridge also separating into a separate set of rows, and the power strips are only connected to their same color. So there's 2 separate circuits here, and then a bunch of separate circuits here, all the way down to 65 it looks like, or maybe 64, and then these are all separate here. So let's do a quick test to sort of prove that. So I'm going to use a red cable that aligns with the color coding they have now for positive, and a blue cable that they have now for negative. So that goes in. Now I'm going to connect the power to the power supply, which is off screen, and I'm going to connect the ground off screen. So right now we have 3 volts going through this column here on the positive, and we have 0 volts, or the ground, going through this negative side. So the power rail, we could say, is activated right now. All we need to do now is draw from it to one of our rows so we can start working with some components. As a test, we can use a simple LED. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use a resistor that will take the power from the power strip and put it somewhere so that we can start using it. Because we don't really want to draw directly from the power strip, since usually we're going to use a resistor to bring down the power level that's safe for your components. So we have a resistor. So power is coming in through this red line. It's going to all of these columns, or all of these rows in this column, only on the red side. And we're going to draw that power from our power line into the breadboard, now into a row so that we can start using it. And this is on row 5 right now. So what we can do with row 5 is plug in an LED. You can put the long side into row 5, and then the other side into any other row. Right now I chose, let's see, 5, 6, 7. This is row 7. So we have power coming on the power line through the resistor and on into row 5. And also on row 5, we have an LED's positive probe. The negative is on row 7, so all we need to do now is connect anything to row 7 that also connects to ground, and we should make a connection. So let's put our negative in where the LED is connected to, which is row 7, and we can put in our other side It's a little bit awkward length for this distance, but it should work. And there we have it. So our LED is now illuminated. It's kind of hard to tell with this light, but if I plug it in and out, you'll be able to see it is definitely on. So right now, again, power comes in. This entire red column is linked up with 3 volts. The entire blue column is linked up with 0 volts. We're going to pull from the power. I don't know why it's so shaky. I think this resistor is not in properly. I can use a longer one. Or maybe just a better balanced one. Let's see. This one looks pretty good. There we go. So we have column with power, pulling the power in to row 5, or LEDs in row 5, and then it outputs to row 7. And you can see that even though the blue is not touching the LED, these are connected. And even though the resistor is not touching the LED's positive probes, they're also resisted. They're just in connected rows, we could say. And we can start doing more interesting things in this. Right now, these are still dead, by the way. So if we tried to ground it on that side, then that wouldn't work. Let me get a long cable. If I plug our ground in here, and we connect it to this side to do ground, you can see that the LED is, wait, let me plug it in properly. He's not quite in, so I'm gonna just use little tweezers and so we can see that even though we're plugged into what should be ground, it's not working. And that's because this entire column is not grounded, the same way that this one is. But what you'll find very commonly done is we can actually share the power from the ground on the left to the ground on the right using another cable. So if we take our ground, and these cables do not want to go in right now. All right, he's in. And if we share it across to this ground, you can see the LED turns on. Right now what's happening is we have our negative coming in to the column on the left, the ground column on the left. And then what we're doing is we're pulling that to this right side ground. So now both of these grounds are the same. And our LED can go to this ground, which does connect back to the original ground. Similarly, what we can do is, bridge it anywhere. So let's say we wanted more space to work with here. Let's say we wanted some other component to connect so we can use more space. We can just bridge the gap between these 2 rows to make them work together. So if we put in a little bridge, then right now the power is going to the LED. Let me try to zoom in a bit. Power is going to the LED and it's coming out here in row 7. And now we're actually connecting A7 through E7 with F7 through J7. So the entire 7th row, both of them, are now connected with this line. So we can treat this all as one circuit. And to prove that, we can ground it from this side, perhaps. Although this cable does not want to cooperate. So let's plug in our cable, excuse me, and we can drop in our ground. Let's make sure he goes in. So what we can see now is our ground coming in, stretching across here, going up to the blue, and then connecting back on row 7, and then our brown cable here is connecting the F side, we could say, of the row with the A side. So this one row becomes an entire circuit. And you can continue just sharing power to where you need it. And that's why this is a really kind of brilliant and very easy to use system for wiring stuff up in a way where you're able to share power very easily and put things together where you don't need to strip wires and tape stuff together. One thing of note is inside each hole, there's like a little hook, so it grabs onto the wires. So this is pretty sturdily in there. It's not very easy to pull out. I mean, it's easy, but it's pretty firm. So that's, I think, the benefit of breadboards. It also has this tape on the back, so you can take off the tape and glue it somewhere. And it has these indentations on the sides, so that you can attach them to others. So I think that's pretty much it. If you wanted to see somebody else learning electronics, a beginner, then check out some of the other videos where I just kind of live record as I'm learning. So they are longer videos, they're slower videos, but if you're trying to learn along with someone at a slower pace, then they might be really good for you.